All right, everybody. Welcome to this month's edition of the Prometheus Community and Ecosystem Meeting. First up, PromCon is happening in a month, so that's pretty exciting. But due to that, just right away, I want to announce that we won't have this meeting in November because it's right at the same time when we have PromCon. So I don't think anyone from us would be able to attend that. And then Prometheus 2.13 was released as a release candidate and is out for testing. So please go ahead and update all your staging clusters to gather some data around that and report any issues that you encounter. And the biggest, most remarkable feature that I just quickly want to point out is added support for remote read streaming, which is going to be shipped in 2.13. So be on the lookout for a blog post by Bartek. He apparently is already writing one. He couldn't attend, so he won't be able to talk about this right now. But there should be a blog post about this soon from him. Is there anything that we need to announce regarding PromCon in a month? Maybe Brian, do you have any?
Yeah, well, like the schedule was up as it was last month. The Lightning Talk speakers aren't up there, like the ones who've been pre-accepted, but I'll write them down before we get there. You know who you are. And of course, you'll be able to sign up on the day for Lightning Talks as well. The one thing to be aware of is that there are extremely few tickets, if any, left. So if you don't have one, you're probably not getting one. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's small. Like there might be one or two literally. And I think also sponsorships are open till the end of this week or something. If you do want to sponsor, I believe there are still some tickets set aside for that.
Awesome. Any questions from people? Cool. I think we can move on.
Yeah. So David, you wanted to talk about what's new in Grafana 6.4. So go ahead.
Sure. Let's see. Share my screen. So this one. All right. Can everyone see my browser?
Yes.
Excellent. So obviously we published also a little what's new article on just the general docs. And so just a quick overview here. We have some new things in Explore where you can go back to the original dashboard if you came from that one, and then a couple of Loki related things, and then quite exciting serious overrides to turn a constant into a point. To turn a point into a constant line. Okay, let me just demo these things really quickly. So I created a couple of dashboards to do this. So the first one is the back to dashboard story, which is basically you have your dashboard with your panel and you want to do some deep dive, and you jump to Explore, which is this thing here, which brings you to this other area where you have a bit more of a graph and a table to kind of like quickly dive into the queries here. And let's say you figured out, okay, well, this query wasn't optimal. I need something else here, maybe the handler, for example, and then let's just issue this. All right. So now I've obviously changed the query, and now I can either just go back to the original panel, or I can also say, I like the change that I've done. Maybe I want to keep this also in the panel because I figured out that this changed query now represents better what I wanted to represent in the panel. So then I can just click this, and now I'm back here and it maintained my edit. So that's kind of cool. And here now I can just save it, and the new query is back here. So, and then I guess I can also just do this thing here real quick to make this a tiny bit neater. So now I really only have the handler names there. So I saved this as well. So that was one thing. Then what else is new? We have the constant series, which is something that Ben talked me through that seems really exciting, where you basically have a normal query here. Let me just disable this one for a second. You have a normal query over time about that just gives you the rate of the requests, and then at some point you want to compare this to, let's say, the 95th percentile over not just a small interval, but the whole range that is being displayed. And you can do this now with this kind of query here that is an instant query. As you can see that this thing here is selected. So, and if I don't have the overrides, it just renders one small little point here in the beginning. And you can sort of see, okay, well, this was the 95th percentile over this whole range. But now with the series overrides, we can actually draw just like a complete line there. And the way this is done is in the visualization options. We have a series override here saying transform constant. So if I remove this, you won't even really see the point, which is a bit sad. And so you can do this, enable it again, transform constant, and it's there. So this is the way to turn instant queries into a line. So let's continue. What else is new? We have another good one, shared query results. So this is kind of cool. We've changed a lot of plumbing in how the panel, like the panel data handling is being done, and now panels can reference each other's data. So I can now just create a second panel saying, yeah, I also want a nice graph. That's cool. And I want to choose from not a query, but I want a different dashboard. I want to import the data from a different dashboard. So I can do this one here. I've named this panel source panel. And so if I had more panels in this dashboard, they would appear here too. And I just click this one, and then the same query appears. And here's a summary of what's happening in that dashboard. And then I go back, and boom, I have sort of a target panel and a source panel. And so the intended purpose for this is that some of the queries might be really expensive. And so you only need to run them once, basically, and the data is being shared. So that was one thing. Then let's see what else we got. Now we're sort of crossing a bit into like Loki space, because a lot of things are new there as well. And let's just quickly go through this. So I have, let's say I have a dashboard that shows me something for like a particular job on a particular cluster, some metrics. But now I also want to see logs, and this is possible now. So let me I just need to remember this thing here, this label selector. So now I can go and add a logs panel. So I do this logs, this is new. And then as a query, I want a Loki data source, and then I can just put in my label set here, because since we have this all sort of synced up with the label rules between Prometheus and Loki, we really get this tight integration between getting the logs for the metrics. So then I can go back. And so now I've created a dashboard where I see logs that are somehow related to this Prometheus process in this cluster. So that's cool. And if that's not enough, I can also have now annotations based on Loki as well. So I've created an errors annotation based on the Loki data source, and I've given it again the default Prometheus job, and I'm sorting here, or I'm also filtering for error streams. And I don't want 400 bad requests, because they seem to be littered all over this place. So I've filtered that out as well. And then if I go back to this dashboard and I enable the annotation, I should be seeing the results here. So, and then as the annotation text, you will see the actual message. So, and the last thing I want to show is, just move this here. Now I'm back in Explorer. We did some improvements on live tailing. So I can go to the Prometheus logs, for example, and let's see, there's a new button here. This used to be in 6.3, this used to be part of the time refresher. Now it's a separate button here, so I can switch into a live mode, and then I get sort of live tailing to whatever came through the logs from the default Prometheus process. And I can also pause this and resume and leave this again. And that is the end of 6.4. Let me just leave this slide on here for a bit longer. So in case anyone also wants to, in case anyone has some questions about the other features as well. But that's all I wanted to show.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions to David?
If you change the shared dashboard thing, if you change the first graph, will it be reflected in the ones based on it?
Yeah, so if I change the query in the source graph, so this is the shared query results feature, right? That you're talking about?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so I have to go to the source graph, to have the editor. And if I change a query there, then the target panels will also be updated correctly.
Awesome, thank you.
The panel that you showed where you could have a log panel and a metrics panel, if you had zoomed in the metrics panel, would that have also reduced the logs that you would have seen?
Yes, because they are synced. The queries are based on the data source, the dashboard's time range. Mm-hmm.
Neat. Thanks.
Cool. Oh, one more thing that I've forgotten for Thanos folks. Let me just do this real quick. So there's a thing I added later, which is here we have a new, in the data source settings of any Prometheus data source, we have a new field down here called miscellaneous and then custom query parameters. And here you can enter any sort of like query parameter header that will be, no, it's not a header field. It's a query parameter that will be attached to all the instant queries and the range queries. So you can have something like the maximum source resolution or things like this, or timeout or whatever Thanos supports. And then you can basically have different kind of, what's the word, roll up data sources and sort of separate your data out data via these data sources.
Is that only for querying through your range, or is it for the other endpoints too? I'm thinking some people might want to try to use this for authentication.
So this is only for queries. So for query and query range. Yeah. So for the authentication, I think we want to keep using the mechanisms that are above here, but I'm not really sure if we have any means there to add custom headers. But we should really.
It's just, I can imagine passing down like a tenant name or something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a thought.
Okay. Cool. Let me stop sharing. All right. Over to you guys.
All right. If there are no more questions, then yeah, Puff, you wanted to talk about store time petitioning?
Yep. Yeah. So, hey guys, I'm Pavlos. I'm a maintainer of Thanos. So yeah, can you see my screen?
We can see a black screen.
Yeah, somehow everything stopped working for me. Cool, sorry guys. Yeah.
Right, then you can, in the meantime, try to figure it out if you want. We can do some Q&A. If anyone has any questions about anything Prometheus or related to the ecosystem, then go ahead. Go ahead and start asking, and somebody will pick it up.
No questions. Everybody's got their monitoring figured out. Okay.
That's very cool then. All right, Pop, do you want to fix it, or do you want to present at the next meeting? I think we just lost him.
I think he'd
So
let's give him a chance.
Give him a chance, yeah. So feel free to still ask questions in the meantime.
Pup, you want to give it another attempt? You're muted.
Yeah. Sorry, my computer is still a bit loading. It should be up in a second. Yeah, okay, I have my slides ready. Yeah, let me try to share my screen again. Nope, it goes black. I guess I'll reschedule this.
Okay, if you want to, you can also just talk us through what you were going to present, but you can also do it at the next time.
Yeah, it's probably better at the next time because, yeah, I have some like slides with images and things like that. So, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah.
There's also lightning talks at PromCon, which will be recorded. Considering the next meeting is 2 months away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Lightning talk, it is done. Cool. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Somehow, like I tested before, it was okay. Yeah. Wait, what happened? Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Like Ubuntu just does not play with me. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
It's probably a Wayland thing or something. Maybe just a wild guess. All right then. Any other questions before we close today's meeting? Anything anyone wants to point out? Because if not, then we can close the meeting, and to some of you, we will see each other at PromCon, and otherwise we will see each other at the beginning of December again. Okay? I guess that's it. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a nice, wonderful local time, and see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.